You know that voice in your head that tells you you're not good enough? The one that shows up right when you're about to do something important? That voice has been running your life longer than you realize. Here's what most people don't understand. That inner critic isn't you. It's an old recording playing on repeat. A protective mechanism that got installed when you were young and never got updated. It thinks it's keeping you safe, but really, it's keeping you small. Think about it. When does that voice get loudest? Right before you step into something new. Right before you speak up. Right before you show the world who you really are. It's not random. It's a pattern. And patterns can be changed once you see them clearly. The thing is, we've been taught to fight this voice, to argue with it, to prove it wrong. But that's like trying to win an argument with a broken record. The record doesn't care about your logic. It just keeps playing the same song. What if I told you there's a different way? Not fighting, not ignoring, not pretending it's not there. Something simpler. Something that takes 3 minutes and changes everything about how you relate to that voice. But first, you need to understand where this voice came from. Because once you see its origin, it loses half its power over you. By the way, our shared space of light and awareness is on its way to 100,000 people. Thank you to everyone who subscribes and brings this moment closer. When you were a child, you were completely open. You tried things without questioning. You expressed yourself without filtering. And then something happened. Someone said you were too loud, too quiet, too much, not enough. And your brain, trying to protect you, created this voice. A voice that would warn you before you did something that might get you rejected again. That voice became your inner critic. And it's been doing the same job for years, maybe decades, warning you, protecting you, keeping you from taking risks that might lead to pain. The problem is, what protected you as a child now imprisons you as an adult. That voice doesn't know the difference between real danger and growth opportunity. It treats them the same. And so you stay stuck in the same patterns, the same limitations, the same small version of yourself. Here's what's fascinating. Your inner critic uses the same phrases over and over. Listen closely next time. It's probably saying things you heard from parents, teachers, or other authority figures. It's not even original. It's borrowed criticism that you've internalized so deeply you think it's your own thoughts. But thoughts aren't facts. And just because something thinks itself in your head doesn't mean you have to believe it or act on it. Most people spend their whole lives trying to silence this voice through achievement. They think if they just accomplish enough, earn enough, become enough, the voice will finally shut up. But it never does, because the voice isn't about what you do. It's about an old program running in the background. The 3-minute exercise I'm about to share with you doesn't fight the voice. It doesn't argue with it. It does something much more powerful. It changes your relationship to it completely. See, the voice only has power when you think it's you, when you believe it's telling you the truth about who you are. But once you see it as what it really is, an old protective mechanism that's outlived its usefulness, everything shifts. You stop taking it personally. You stop letting it make your decisions. You start seeing it as background noise, like traffic outside your window. It's there, but it doesn't control you anymore. This isn't about positive thinking or affirmations. This isn't about replacing negative thoughts with positive ones. This is about something deeper, about understanding the architecture of how your mind works and using that knowledge to free yourself. The exercise is simple, almost too simple, but simplicity is what makes it work, because complicated techniques require effort, and effort reinforces the idea that the voice is powerful enough to need complicated solutions. Ready to learn it? Good. But first, you need to know exactly what's happening in your mind when that critical voice speaks. Let's go deeper into what's actually happening when your inner critic speaks. Your brain is wired for survival, not happiness. It's designed to spot threats, predict danger, and keep you alive. Thousands of years ago, that meant avoiding predators and dangerous situations. Today, your brain treats social rejection the same way it once treated physical danger. Same alarm system, different threat. So when you're about to do something that might expose you to judgment, criticism, or rejection, your brain activates that old survival mechanism, and it speaks to you through that inner critic voice. It's trying to save your life by keeping you invisible, silent, safe. The voice says things like, "You're not ready. Who do you think you are? People will laugh at you. You'll fail." And here's the trick. It sounds so much like your own thoughts that you believe it's you making a rational assessment. But it's not rational. It's ancient fear dressed up as logic. Now, here's where it gets interesting. That voice isn't constant. It has triggers, specific situations that wake it up. Maybe it's public speaking. Maybe it's creative work. Maybe it's intimacy or vulnerability. Whatever it is, the voice knows your weak spots because it learned them from your past experiences. Every time you got hurt, rejected, or criticized, your brain took notes. It built a database of situations to avoid, and the inner critic became the guardian of that database, warning you away from anything that resembles those old painful moments. But here's what your brain doesn't understand. You're not that vulnerable child anymore. You have resources now. Experience, resilience, the ability to handle rejection and failure. But the voice doesn't know that. It's still operating from old information, old fears, old pain. Think of it like this. Imagine you hired a security guard 20 years ago to protect your house from a specific threat. That threat is long gone, but the security guard is still there, still on high alert, still treating every visitor like a potential danger. That's your inner critic. Outdated but loyal. Wrong but consistent. Most people try to fire the security guard. They fight with it, argue with it, try to prove it wrong, but that just makes the voice louder, because fighting with it confirms that it's powerful, that it's a real threat that needs to be dealt with. The 3-minute exercise works differently. It doesn't fight. It doesn't argue. It simply observes. And in that observation, something shifts. Here's the core insight that makes this work. You are not your thoughts. You are the awareness that notices thoughts. There's a part of you that can watch the inner critic speak without being swept away by it. That part is always there, always calm, always free. When you access that awareness, even for 3 minutes, the voice loses its grip. Not because you defeated it, but because you stopped identifying with it. You stopped thinking, "I'm not good enough," and started noticing, there's a thought saying I'm not good enough. Subtle difference, massive impact. This is what people who seem naturally confident have figured out, often without knowing it. They hear the same critical thoughts as everyone else, but they don't take them seriously. They don't let those thoughts make their decisions. They notice the voice and move forward anyway. And the beautiful thing? The more you practice this, the quieter the voice becomes. Not because you're fighting it, but because you're not feeding it with attention and belief. It's like a fire that dies down when you stop adding fuel. Now, let me give you the actual exercise. 3 minutes. That's all it takes. You can do it right now while listening, or you can come back to this part whenever the inner critic gets loud. Either way, this is yours to use whenever you need it. The exercise has 3 steps, 1 minute each. Simple, practical, powerful. No meditation cushion required. No special setting. You can do this anywhere, anytime, the moment you notice that critical voice starting up. Ready? Here's how it works. Minute 1. Notice and name. The moment you hear that inner critic voice, stop whatever you're doing, just for 60 seconds, and say to yourself, silently or out loud, there's the voice again. Not, I'm thinking negative thoughts. Not, I'm being critical of myself. But there's the voice. This simple shift in language creates distance. You're not the voice. You're the one noticing the voice. That distinction is everything. Now listen to what it's saying. Don't argue. Don't agree. Just listen like you're a scientist observing data. What words is it using? What tone? Is it your mother's voice? Your father's? A teacher's? An ex-partner's? Most people realize their inner critic sounds like someone from their past, not like their true self. Name it if you want. Some people call it the protector. Some call it the scared one. Some just call it the voice. Naming it reinforces that it's separate from you. It's a part of your mind, yes, but it's not the whole of who you are. This first minute is about awareness. Pure, simple awareness. You're not trying to change anything yet. You're just seeing clearly what's happening. And that seeing is already changing things, even if you don't feel it yet. Minute 2. Feel where it lives. Now bring your attention to your body. Where do you feel the voice? Because here's something most people miss. The inner critic isn't just mental, it's physical. It lives in your chest, your throat, your stomach, somewhere. Close your eyes if you can. Scan your body. Where's the tension? Where's the tightness? That's where the voice has set up camp. That's where the fear lives that the voice is trying to protect you from. Maybe it's a knot in your stomach. Maybe it's a weight on your chest. Maybe it's a lump in your throat. Whatever it is, put your attention there. Not to make it go away, just to acknowledge it. To say, I see you. I feel you. Breathe into that spot. Slow, deep breaths. Not to relax it, not to fix it, just to breathe with it, to give it space. Because what we resist persists, and what we allow begins to dissolve. Here's what happens in this minute. You're moving from your thinking mind to your feeling body, and the inner critic can't survive in the body. It only has power in the realm of thoughts. When you drop into physical sensation, the voice starts to fade. Not completely, but enough that you can breathe again. Stay with the sensation. Don't rush. Even if it's uncomfortable, even if it's unpleasant, stay. This is you reclaiming your body from the grip of old fear. This is you coming home to yourself. Minute 3. Choose your next move. Now you're in a different state. The voice is still there, maybe, but it's quieter. You've created space between you and it. You've located the fear in your body and breathed with it. Now you get to choose. Ask yourself, if that voice wasn't in charge right now, what would I do? Not what should you do. Not what's safe. What would you do if you were free? Maybe you'd speak up. Maybe you'd start that project. Maybe you'd have that conversation. Maybe you'd just sit here and enjoy being alive without judgment. Whatever it is, that's your truth. That's your real voice, the one underneath the critic. Now here's the key. You don't have to do the big thing. You don't have to conquer your fear and take massive action. You just have to do one small thing that's in alignment with your truth instead of your fear. Send one message. Write one sentence. Make one choice. Something tiny that says, I'm listening to my real voice now, not the critic. Because small actions compound. One conscious choice leads to another. And over time, you're living a completely different life. The voice might get loud again. It probably will. That's fine. You're not trying to kill it. You're just choosing not to obey it. You're showing your brain that it's safe to act despite the fear. And every time you do this, the neural pathway gets stronger. 3 minutes. That's the exercise. Notice and name. Feel where it lives. Choose your next move. Simple enough to remember. Powerful enough to change everything. Do this once. You'll feel relief. Do this daily for a week. You'll notice patterns shifting. Do this for a month. You'll barely recognize the person you used to be.